final review, Live the Last Man. It's good, and I was correct. I did try and like there was a trans male character who was basically like, yeah, I should have died that day. Like, just be grateful that you're alive, cheeky bitch. Oh no, I didn't die because God doesn't view me as a man. Whatever will I do? Well, boo-hoo, cunt. How about you live instead of killing yourself because you feel that God should have took you out as well because you are a man. Oh no, they didn't take me, but they took all the trans women because God is transphobic. Um, I'm getting distracted anyway. Give up review. Good trouble. It is far too political. Like the first episode was good. As I said in the initial review, it reminded me of Broad City. But I've seen up to I've I've seen up to episode 4. Um, I've decided screw it. It's they're putting more focus on the politics and the comedy, and I don't want to have like a relationship with the show like I had with Sex Education, where it was like I didn't find it funny for most of it, but I just kept on watching it, and I'm not gonna do it with this because Good Trouble is 57 remaining. Let me just 55 remaining with another episode on the way. um, yeah, it's I'm not watching anymore. This Twitter as of 6 past 6 p.m. on Tuesday, the 31st of May, 2022. So Stone Toss put this out 2 hours ago, saying happy hashtag Pride Month, despite the fact that it's tomorrow, and I'm pretty sure Stoss is American. Anyway, nobody is coming for your kids, conservatives. Mm-hmm. Sure they aren't. I'm not gonna watch the video. I really can't be bothered. But apparently, Trudeau has said that it will, and I quote, "It will no longer be possible to buy, sell, transfer, or import handguns anywhere in Canada." Oh yeah, what about other types of guns like a shotgun? What about those? Also, so no handguns are coming into the country. So any guns in the country currently, or in the country before this law, as I'm just gonna call it, ban whatever, has come in, and say you shut down all the gun shops and anywhere else that might sell guns. What about black market shops and stuff like that? Because it's I keep on repeating myself because people just keep on not seeming to understand this simple thing. Like, banning guns does not achieve anything because if you're going to commit a crime, if you're going to shoot someone, you will not care about illegally buying a gun. Like, if someone is planning on murdering someone, but then Canada just bans guns, so they're not going to be like, oh no, now I won't be able to buy a gun. They're going to go to a black market, gun dealer. Because the punishment for illegally buying a gun is nothing compared to the sentence for murder. Of course, a gun ban would keep firearms out of schools. Right, sus, you don't need to use the word nobody. Anyway, all have given some, and some have given all. Thank you to those who choose, whatever. To sacrifice their lives so we can live another day. Happy Memorial Day, everyone. Why are you following Stone Toss? I'm not even a liberal. I'm an anarchist adjacent. Sent from my iPhone. This is quite an old Stone Thoughts comic. Foremost concern of all internet communists is the total reproduction of our current modern society of all the same commodities and comforts, only with a new vibe and aesthetic, rebranding the world we live in today into a meme made by a teenager on lefty pole. Johnny Depp and Amber Heard defamation trial reaches jury deliberation, which I'm going to guess where the jury decides whether or not Amber is innocent and guilty. Why did the internet turn on Amber Heard? Because Amber Heard is a complete psycho. Like, you look at stuff from within the trial, out of the trial, etc., and it's clear that she is a total liar. Like, I saw yesterday there was a photo of, she tried to cover a scar that she had with makeup, but you could still see it clearly. And she said that for years she was covering the supposed bruises that Johnny had given her by beating her up. But if she can't cover a scar with makeup, then obviously she couldn't have covered all those apparent bruises. She's a liar. That is why the internet turned on her. It's not even that they turned on her. The internet never liked her. Wait, no, hold on. That's not correct. That bottom bit. Oh, his character death toll is nothing compared to Star Wars. That's wrong. The Star Wars death toll is nothing compared to George's death toll, because he made the point that, like, when Leia's planet got blown up in episode 4, I think, like, more people died within that 1 second than the entirety of Game of Thrones. But, and George was talking specifically about the Red Wedding. The difference between Leia's planet blowing up and the Red Wedding is that you know the characters in the Red Wedding. You've known them throughout the books, and I think the Red Wedding happened in season 3 or 4, so 3 or 4 seasons. You've known these characters, only for them all to just die like that. So the impact that it has is much bigger, because when it came to the planet blowing up in Star Wars, it was like, okay, and that was it. Let me guess, it's Nico, or it's Max Fosh. No, that's just What about the LGBT Alliance? For those who don't know, the LGBT Alliance is lesbians, gays, and bis sort of forming together to, like, they're transphobic, basically, right? They don't feel that transgenderism should be part of the LGBT, because lesbians, gays, and bis are sexualities. Transgenderism is not a sexuality; it's a sex, and it's also a choice, right? So it's like the pride trans flag sometimes will have a bit of brown and a bit of black on it, because that's them showing support for BLM, despite the fact that it's sexuality, gender, and race. These are not all the same. And the fact that 70% heterosexual, not true. That's statistics that you've made up because you believe that people like me are TERFs. TERF stands for Trans Exclusionary Radical Feminist, or a radical feminist who hates trans people. So the trans exclusionary part is true for me, but I'm not a radical feminist. I'm not even a feminist. I'm sitting in the dad chair relaxing since I didn't get much sleep last night. Sadie just ran the length of the living room and flying elbowed me in the balls. I'm curled into a ball and she just picks up a fruit shoot and walks off. Imagine not knowing what a fruit shoot is. Maybe the people who don't know what it is are American, Marcus. I create more arguments because that's just healthy. Being anti-work equals being anti-capitalist. Finally, some self-awareness. You say it as if, one, they didn't know that it's an inherently anti-capitalist movement. Two, as if being anti-capitalist is bad, the whole system is very close to collapse. And when Adam's history will look at it with the same disdain it looks at red or authoritarianism. Will it though? Right. I don't know if I've said this like online before, but like both, we only have two systems right now: capitalism and communism. Both of these systems are really bad, but it just so happens that capitalism is better. But people see that the capitalism, as I said, is bad, and they think, oh well, since communism is the only other option, we need to bring in communism. But they don't realize that communism is worse. So we have a bad system, but currently it's the best system. Holy damn, you're mentally challenged. The whole system is very close to collapse. Do you unironically think the problems caused by the government interventionism is the capitalism system finally collapsing? God, they make leftists seem stupid over each new iteration. I think the problem here, government intervention, is caused by the capitalist oligarchs that literally own the government regardless of election results. America's system is rotten to the core by capitalism, not a bug, but a feature. Capitalism is free trade and free production. Government regulation is against the core tenets of capitalism. Capitalists using government regulation to strive while other capitalists is not capitalism at work, it's state intervention at work. Point being, it's extremely silly to say that restricting other people's ability to do capitalism is capitalism. It's kind of the opposite. Oh, I forgot to mention, I was going to make a video yesterday, but I was very sick. Like, usually when I'm sick, you get that typical sick pain, but this was just pure pain. You were arrested for not paying the fine, bud. No, I wasn't. Like, this was before the trial. The fine came for gross offence. He was arrested for gross offence. And he was fined. He refused to pay the fine. I don't know what happened after that, but this photo comes from his arrest for being grossly offensive. So it had nothing to do with the fine, because at that time there was no fine. Dickhead. We're kind of agreeing here with the fact that the US system is screwed by lobbying and needs to reform. By the way, big fan of Mad Lads. Thanks for making them. The state is not the root of all problems. The reason monopolies exist and the poverty gap is increasing is because of state intervention in the market. And thanks, man, I appreciate that. Well, I do think the state intervention can easily be disastrous. Any off government. I think a much more important part of the issue is that. Sorry, I'm just looking for something. Never mind. Is that any system that's profit based is not sustainable. Everywhere corners are cut, so investors see a bigger share. It is sustainable so long as production can happen unhindered. It's when governments step in with things like price fixing, grants, tariffs, etc., that things start to go wrong. Look at every single recession, it's always blamed on capitalism, but when you look at the actual root causes, it was always some kind of government regulation or cronyism with heads of state. Capitalism on its own is completely fine and prosperous if the government would just leave it the hell alone. If wealth is limited and the crazy oligarchs and their corps such as BlackRock hold almost all the wealth, where does that leave the average person? Are BlackRock and other such corps able to keep doing what they're doing? The answer might surprise you. It's also utterly physically impossible for one such entity to own all the wealth. That is currently the goal of nation states, and even they are not able to do it. If your proposition is that thanks to government regulation, the capitalist oligarchs are able to do what they are doing right now, and with no government, they wouldn't be able to. It's certainly an interesting one. Would you like to see it in application for sure? Hopefully one day. I see. I think large amounts of capital equal the amount of power government can potentially exert, and because of that, not only would I like to see a weak government or none at all, but also a decentralization of wealth. Corporations don't have control over your property. They can't take things from you by force or regulate what you do with your own person and property. Governments can. Ah, for Christ's sakes, Ethan Klein. Conservatives got triggered over jokes. I told a mass report on me I got banned for a week and the episode was removed. If only they cared about dead kids and as much as they do jokes. So I want to say, sorry y'all are such pathetic snowflakes. Screw the NRA and screw Abbott. First time? By the way, that movie that this comes from, it's crap. You've all seen the meme of the legendary Golden Indian. I don't think I have. We dove in to find out who he was and why he bought a shirt made completely out of gold. Turns out the story has a pretty sad ending. Are the rumors true that he ultimately went bankrupt after attempting to build a 1-to-1 scale Marcus Wang out of gold? Take my money. I don't support the platforming. Yes, I'm certain Ethan wasn't serious, but Twitter and YouTube bannings are like when a kid with a rich dad kills a family during a DEI and only gets probation, but some random guy gets 2 years for 10 grams of weed. We all notice and we all know why. Be right wing, make videos criticizing anyone, you're already walking on thin ice. The hammer could come down anyway, but be trans and left wing, you can literally threaten the Minecraft Twitch HQ and still get your channel back. We notice this stuff. Y'all are children. First time? Tony Blair accused of preparing launch of new Centre's party in June conference. You'll always be politically illiterate. I know more than you. Government boasts it is opening up fees to the world's top graduates, but many originally come from third world countries. Why is Britain asset stripping poor countries like this? We literally told you this for years, but we got called racist for it. Turns out that when you take all the skilled labour, doctors, lawyers, etc. away from third world countries, and those countries don't improve at all and remain crap holes, which then makes even more people want to leave them, and so on, in a vicious cycle. Who knew, right? Also, I laughed at my own thought of Dan Abbott's voice saying, no, only give us the crap ones. I miss them. Jesus. Elijah Wood looks like he's a TikTok account of him playing intros with 90s TV shows on an accordion. No, this post is offensive. What on God's green earth have you done? In other news, your eyebrows are perfect. Excuse my stomach rumbling. Nah. No way. No way. No, I'm not looking at this again. There's no way that Elijah would like that. I really don't want to look in here because there's like 2,000 likes. And actually, no, I'll look at Elijah. Oh my god, he did like it. Oh my god. Tractor trailer crash sends £15,000 of hot dog filler onto Pennsylvania highway. In our home, across the fog, the lands between now Queen Marica, the Eternal is nowhere to be found, and in the night of the Black Knives, Godwin the Golden was the first to perish. Kind of crap, more people would have got that one. The face of someone off the wreck, everything in sight. She's a tiny juggernaut. Do you think you're attractive? Genuinely interested? No. My grand calls me handsome all the time. I can see why. I miss my Taliban LARP so much. My nose feels weird right now. Like it's bleeding. It's not. I'm not reading all that. Please explain to me again how democracy is part of the people. I'm not familiar with the pandemic treaty, but direct voting has to have limits. The public may not be as law savvy to properly analyze some subjects. That is why elected representatives exist, to represent the ideas of the people and to make informed decisions. They may not be doing a good job, but that's why elections exist. Boy, oh boy, am I going to show these guys what for in the next election. 4 years from now, I have to spend that 4 years passing crappy laws that'll never be repealed. I hope the guy I vote in doesn't do the same thing. He will. Every single time. Someone's car alarm has been going off non-stop. I don't want to scroll just in case. Okay, it's not. What is that massive lump around your pelvis? Tumor. Oh my god, are you going to get it removed? Or is it... I don't even know what that says. I'm going to get it removed and become Countess Dankula and then be unbannable from all platforms and finally get that Netflix special. Now hold on. Netflix doesn't employ trans people. In fact, they only seem to employ transphobic comedians like Dave Chappelle and Ricky Gervais. Apparently. You're being serious with trolling. I know Jim is Cancer Man, but I seriously don't want another one of my favourite creators to have the deal of this crap. Street Cancer Hardcore. It's not a humour. Not a humour. Don't worry, I was joking. Oh, for God's sake. I politely suggest that the CPS ought to have other priorities for embedding a particular political ideology amongst the workforce. I think CPS stands for Child Protective Services, but I could be wrong. I'm so excited to finally share that I'm starting a position as Speak Out Champion at the CPS. This is an amazing role. It gives me the opportunity to make a real difference to so many people's lives. So what does the Speak Out Champion do? Independent and impartial, Speak Out Champion is responsible for improving confidence among staff and being able to speak openly about their experiences as part of the CPS continued cultural drive to embed EDI throughout the organisation. I have no idea what EDI stands for. Oh dear, I seem to be blocked by this representative of the CPS. Why? I was not abusive. This my country's allegedly independent prosecuting authority, and blocking a private citizen is a very poor look. Honestly, I don't think the CPS needs to speak out championing like the police. They're better off leaving their individual experiences and biases at home. Fairness, impartiality, and public duty must always come first, no exceptions. Not having voices of diverse communities leads to travesties like stop and search. Are you in favour of that too? So why is the person in the post not black, as that is the demographic most affected? Another white male is not diversity, is it? There are thankfully black voices in CPS, and I'm not certainly this is another minority. I'm all for there being a panel including as many minorities as possible. You're all for excluding one minority. There's no male here. That person is a male. No one can change sex. That's correct. You only use the word male because you know you can't say man, which is what you mean. If that's what you believe, why not say it? Sophie is a woman. And if anyone disagrees, what do you suggest is a suitable punishment? Misgendering trans people and claiming they don't exist whilst trans people are listening / reading as a hate crime. Hate crime shouldn't exist at all, at least in that context. Imagine thinking you deserve the same privilege as kings and queens of the past where it should be illegal to criticize you in any way. This is a Davy Crockett weapon system pictured next to an AR-15 style rifle. I'm ignorant about the limit of what arms are to TA fundamentals. If you believe that no one has rights to regulate the latter weapon, explain how the 2A doesn't apply to the former system as well. This is not a gotcha. I just don't understand how the Second Amendment of the US Constitution knows that gun rights are unlimited when guns aren't mentioned and tactical nukes are clearly arms. Everyone sane soul has a line where there is a weapon they don't want sold at Kmart. Help me understand your line delineating personal arms and why you chose it, or think we should all choose it. Sincere thanks in advance. From a libertarian standpoint, the idea is precision weapons. They are preferable since they can neutralize a target without damaging other property and persons as collateral damage, which you would be held directly responsible for. A nuke kind of has a lot of collateral.